Hey everybody, this is Brad. Today is January 5th, 2024, and I guess this is the 422nd episode of the Video Games podcast. The opening this week is somewhat different. You may notice if you are a regular listener. The reason for that being I wasn't really going to do a show this week. I was thinking that, we have done, or I have done, basically a show every week for the entire year. And, I'm pretty picky about that. I believe the show must go on. I believe that you should be regular when you're doing output like this. And that's fine. That works for me. Not criticizing anybody, but it works for me. But I was like, we just had Game of the Year and that was kind of exhausting. And then the show after that, episode 421, I did this giant, double episode, almost a triple episode, to kind of catch up with the stuff that had been backed up from before GOTY. And then I was like, oh man, okay, that was a lot. Why don't I just be kind to myself and I'll just take the next week off and then I'll pick it back up and get back in the saddle. And that was my plan. I wasn't planning to do a show this week at all. But I was sitting at home and just, playing game. And I'm like, I don't know. I'm like, oh, fuck it. I could do a show probably. I'm just sitting here. So why the fuck not? I figured I would just bust one out real quick. It's not going to be formal. It's going to be shorter. It's going to be less planned out, except for the stuff I've planned out. It's going to be less scripted, except for the stuff I have scripted. And we'll just roll. I just wanted to give something to you listeners, just to have something. As somebody who listens to a lot of podcasts myself, I do kind of find it a bummer when I go to my phone to listen to one of my favorite shows and then there's nothing there. It's always kind of a sad feeling, right? And I don't want you guys to feel sad. I know there's a couple folks out there that do like to listen to the show, and I know you look forward to the episodes, and I appreciate that. I appreciate you. So I didn't want to let you down this week. So we're gonna just roll with it. It's gonna be short. It's gonna be informal. It's gonna be off the cuff, maybe goofy. I don't know. Hopefully, it's still worth listening to. And then I think next week I will get back in the saddle. We'll do the official show, and we'll just get things rolling. I think part of it probably is that, I don't know about you guys, but I kind of dislike the holidays. I know a lot of people like the holidays, but here's a little peek behind the curtain into my life. Is I don't like the holidays at all, honestly. Part of it was because my family sucks and there's family trauma, whatever. But that's not the biggest reason. The biggest reason, I think, is just my wife and I and my family, we kind of live an opposite schedule, right? So we're freelancers. We've been freelancers for about 30 years or so. So we are our own boss. We do our own thing. We set our own course, et cetera, et cetera. We're also homeschoolers. So we don't follow the school calendar. My son has homeschooled with us for his entire life, and he's going to be 16 this year. So we've been doing it for 16 years. So we kind of live our life opposite, right? We don't necessarily wait for the weekend to do stuff. We do stuff during the week. We don't wait for holidays to go take advantage of the day or to have a fun event. I mean, we just do whatever we want, whenever we want to. And that's not to say we don't have responsibilities. I'm not trying to brag. I'm not trying to say we live this carefree life of leisure. That's far from it. But, we do have more flexibility in our day-to-day schedule because we get to set our own schedule. And so when the holidays come, it kind of fucks everything up because everybody who's usually at work from 9 to 5, Monday through Friday, is all of a sudden off. And so some of the places that we like to go to are all of a sudden super crowded. And some of the places we like to go to are closed because it's the holiday. And so a lot of things just get tossed out the window, right? A lot of the projects I was working on, everything gets put on pause for the 3 weeks from Christmas to the first week of January. I was working on a giant project, had something in negotiations, not a game thing, something else outside. And then it's just oh, holidays, boom, pause. And then, that gets stuck and it's hard to get work done. And if you got anything going, whatever. I'm just trying to let you know that for me, holidays are not great, and I'm actually really looking forward to getting back to the regular schedule so that we can go back to our normal hangouts. Our favorite restaurants will be open again. Things we like to do will be available again, and kind of just get back to the life that we have created for ourselves. So again, not a brag, but just kind of explaining why I might not be as high on the holidays as other people are. And if you work a 9 to 5 and you really look forward to Saturday and Sunday, you really look forward to the Christmas holiday, I get it, man. I totally get it. I've been there. I mean, I was not always a freelancer. I did a 9 to 5 before I do what I do now. So I get it. But for us right now, it's just kind of a pain in the ass. So anyway, looking forward to getting back to regular schedule. And I think for now, I'm just going to kind of bullshit my way through this episode, and we'll just get to the end of it, and we'll get back to the regular stuff next week. So I'm going to skip housekeeping. I haven't been paying attention to housekeeping at all. I don't even know what's going on over there. Do I have any circle backs? I don't think so. I have not really been playing all that much lately. I think between Game of the Year and then the double triple show I did last week, I blitzed myself. I played like a ton of stuff, and so now I'm just taking it easy, looking at some of my backlog. I mean, I've been playing stuff. I mean, I'll give you a quick example here. So, just a quick example. In the last, what is it? Okay, today is the 5th, January 5th. Since January 1st, I have played, and I'm not going to go into all these, Marvel Puzzle Quest, which is my always, Unicorn Overlord, Welcome to Paradise, Gato Roboto, Aegis Defenders, Agent A, Enduring Mountain, Amazing Superhero Squad, Full Metal Furies, Bloomtown, which I'll get to in a second, Hell Warders, Moon Hunters, Gurgamoth, and Awe, AWE. So that's what I've played since the 5th. But a lot of those are just like really quick, like half-hour plays that I'm like, oh, these are not something I really want to spend time with. I'm just going to delete these and get them out of my backlog. So I've been playing stuff, but just not a whole lot that I really wanted to bring to the show. But I do have a couple things for you today, and let's just kick it off with Bloomtown, a different story, the one I just mentioned. So, and I guess just to get the FCC thing out of the way, both of the games I'm talking about today, I did receive a code for, so just heads up on that. Bloomtown, a different story. I'm a little bit puzzled by this one. I thought it was strictly from Lazy Bear Games, who I believe are from the Ukraine. Maybe they're not from the Ukraine, but they're from that part of the world somewhere. And this is kind of a departure for them. As I was looking up the information online, it said it was developed by Lazy Bear Games and another developer, different games or something like that. So maybe it's a special team or a subsidiary to create this game, because it's not their usual thing. Lazy Bear usually does kind of clicker type games with story. They do kind of grindy stat games. They did Graveyard Keeper, which is kind of a farming, really strange dark RPG. I love their games. I think Lazy Bear is amazing, and I've said before, I think they're low-key one of the best developers of 2D shit out there right now. I love their stuff. It's all underrated. I think it's all just really, really great stuff. But this one is very different. It's a departure, and I don't quite know what the reason for that is. But anyway, Bloomtown, a different story. The best way to summarize... Boy, I can't even talk. Summarize it is it's kind of like Stranger Things plus Persona. I didn't realize that going into it, but basically it's 2D. You play a brother and a sister. You are mostly the sister. The brother kind of joins your party later on, but you go to a town because your mom and dad are getting divorced, and there's strife at the home, and you are being sent to go stay with your grandpa for a while things settle down between mom and dad. I guess dad's not living at home, and mom's upset all the time about stuff, and strife. So that's a real thing that happens sometimes. So the kids get shipped off to grandpa's house during the summer. He lives far away. The kids are put on a bus, and they just get shipped out. So they arrive at grandpa's house, and grandpa is like this cranky ass bastard. He's not like mean or anything, but he's just like, crotchety, used to living by himself, wasn't really looking forward to taking care of kids again. And here he is kind of pinch hitting for his daughter, who is your mom, and you're staying with him. So that's the basic setup. He lives in this cute little town, and the kids don't really quite know what's going on. And so they settle in and just try to prepare for this summer, whatever adventure is going to come their way. And what happens is, very quickly, the daughter, who you play mostly as, she kind of goes through this weird sequence of events, and she ends up meeting Satan, like the devil. And he's like, yo, I got some shit going down in this town, and I need some help on the surface, which is you. Sign a pact with me. I will hook you up with some personal demons, and then go do these quests for me, and then we'll just mutually benefit from this. How about that? And you can either say yes or no. You can say no at first, which I did, but eventually it'll circle back. Like, you'll have to eventually agree to partner up with Satan, because that's really the only way you can play the game. So just know that ahead of time. And from that point on, it takes a really Persona twist, which surprised me, honestly. When you see the pictures of this game, screenshots of the game, it just looks like a very cute kind of like Earthbound, or maybe like possibly hints of Undertale or something like that. It's got this like kind of quirky style where you are on this like kid-led adventure where a bunch of kids are like set loose into this world, but you very quickly realize like people are pretty sassy in this world. You're able to do things around the town on your own. You kind of set your own schedule. And at first it seems like you're just going on this like adventure, like just like a generic, I don't want to say generic, but a standard RPG style adventure with quirk. And I'm like, okay, that's cool. I'm kind of in the mood for that. That seems pretty good. And I really like Lazy Bear's writing in general. They're extremely like acerbic and nihilistic and sarcastic, which is, par for the course when you're talking about Eastern European developers. That's a trait that very many of them share in common. So it's nice and weird and refreshing and funny to see these kids talk to the grown-ups, and there's like swearing and people are calling bullshit on each other, and they're kind of like being very sassy. And I dig that. I think it really works for me. I think it's really fun. So it seems like you're going to just be meeting people that are quirky and having these really strange adventures. But very quickly it turns like into Persona. And I guess your mileage is going to vary on this, right? So like once you get into the Persona parts, you blow this whistle that you have, it opens a portal into like the dark world, and wherever you are when you blow it, it opens up. And you can't just blow it anywhere. I mean, you got to like go to like the right place, and they'll be like, hey, I think this is probably a place where we can blow the whistle. And so you blow the whistle, and it takes you like this dark version of the world that you're in. So one of the first dungeons is the public library. You can go inside the library during the daytime, like in the normal world. You talk to the librarian, you think something is weird with her, and then you look around the library and you pick up clues or whatever. But then like when you come back, you blow the whistle, you enter the dark version of the library, and it's like this, there's like holes in the floor and weird stuff all over the place and demons there. And it kind of looks like the library, but it's also not the library. And the librarian turns into this demon queen, and there's like monsters and stuff. So that's kind of the jam of the game. And when you go there, you have demons that are assigned to you by Satan. I think my guy's like a werewolf. And then you quickly find friends in the neighborhood who party up with you. Your brother has like a puppet who's like his persona. One of the people has a Tyrannosaurus, I think. And then one of them is like, I forget what the other one is. Doesn't matter. But anyway, Aztec Warrior. That's what it was. Aztec Warrior. So you get into battles, and they're turn-based battles from, 2D pixel art perspective. And it plays very much like Persona. You can do physical attacks, which are like, okay. But you really want to be doing magic attacks. And the game really like strongly recommends, they're like, hey, do magic attacks. It's way better. You level them up. They're stronger. You can do combo attacks. Magic. Like they're very clear about it. And so they want you to be doing that. You can level up your personas. They gain new spells as you level up, and kind of if you played Persona, then you kind of know exactly what the combat is like, basically. So I think that's fine. But I was like, oh man, I kind of wasn't really wanting this to be Persona. I was very happy with the quirky writing. I was very happy with the quirky town and the quirky characters, having just like this kind of weird summer adventure for these kids whose parents are getting divorced. Like that was enough for me. Like I was like, I'm in. I think this is great. I love it so much. But then I got to be honest, like the Persona stuff was kind of dragging me down. And frankly, part of that is because I'm just kind of tired of Persona. I've played basically every Atlas game since time immemorial. I mean, I've been around playing games for more than 40 years, and I've played, literally, and this is not an exaggeration, okay? I'm not joking. I think I have played like literally everything in the Shin Megami Tensei / Persona series, including their other titles also that are not directly in that series. I've played a bunch, right? And so for me personally, again, your mileage may vary. I'm just like, oh, dude, I don't know that I really want to go through this again with Persona stuff. I was more than happy to just go through it with these kids who I really was kind of liking. Now that was like enough, but then when we got back to base and we got a little further in, I think the thing that really kind of sealed the deal for me in terms of making me want to stop playing this game is that you can go back to Satan and like fuse personas. And I'm like, oh no, dude, like I don't want to do this again. Like if you're not sick of Persona, like this might be a really good thing for you. I'm not trying to shit talk this because I think a lot of people would dig this. It's great writing. It's very cute. And if you're not tired of the Persona systems, I think this is fun. It's really different and weird. You're doing a lot of quirky stuff in town. Going to a pet cemetery. You're finding a lost girl. You're working at a store. Like you're doing stuff. It's very cool. Like it's very cool. But for me, at the stage of life where I'm at, I just don't really want to do the Persona thing anymore. I've done it too many times. And it was a bummer to see that it leans so hard into being Persona. With a twist here and there. So once I got to the demon fusion, I was like, oh dude, no, I'm out. I can't do this, but it's cool. Otherwise, I think it's really neat. I think the graphics are neat. Everything about it is really cool. I like the vibe. I like Lazy Bear games, in general. It's just, they kind of hit my particular Achilles heel right now. I mean, maybe in 10 years, let's say for example, that I haven't touched a Persona game in like 10 years and I come back to Bloomtown and I go, oh, right, it's been 10 years. I haven't played this. Yes, I'm in the mood for this now. And I would play it and I would think it was really fun. But right now, my Persona meter is just like really maxed out and I don't think I can do it. But overall, I think it's a cool game. I like the vibe. I like everything about it. Stranger Things / Persona, creepy, weird, quirky. I mean, I don't know, Earthbound a bit, perhaps, Undertale a bit, perhaps. So I think it's a good game. I just don't think it's the right game for me at this particular time, but I think a lot of people out there would really dig it. And in general, being a big fan of Lazy Bear, I do want to support it still. But there you go. That is Bloomtown, A Different Story. That's my quick take on that one. The only other game I'm going to talk about this week is Star Wars Jedi Survivor, which is not a new game. But as y'all know, we do talk about new stuff, old stuff, anything in between. And this is old stuff, I think, or old-ish. Not super old, but it's certainly not new. And this is like kind of in my post GOTY kind of relaxation period. I was going through my backlog and just looking at this. I'm like, I had mixed feelings about the original Star Wars Jedi game. Was it Outcast? I think it's what it's called. It had its good points, it had its down points. It got better with patches over time. I eventually finished it and I'm glad that I did. And even though some people say that Cal Kestis is pretty vanilla, pretty boring, and he kind of is at first, I think he gets better as he goes. And I think ultimately he puts together a pretty good team, and I think his ship is pretty cool. And I finished much higher on Outcast than I was feeling when I started it, right? So I left that game with a pretty positive outlook, and I figured, here's Jedi Survivor. I know a lot of people enjoy this game. I know that John over at Gaming the Wild really liked it a lot. I know that a good friend J Monster played it, and so there's a couple people who kind of kept it in my mental radar, basically. And so now that I was ostensibly going to take this week off, and I was like, oh, good time to play Jedi Survivor since I don't really have to do a show. I can play whatever I want, and that's what I chose, and here I am doing a show anyway. But this is the second game in the Star Wars Jedi series, I guess. Cal Kestis comes back. This is from Respawn Entertainment, and if anybody from Respawn is listening, please get back to work on Titanfall 3. Thank you very much. Not to say this is a bad game, but I just really like Titanfall. And so you start the game off in a really interesting way. I'm not going to spoil anything for people who haven't played it, but you start the game off in this kind of action-y sequence, and you're with all new people. Turns out that Cal has been doing a lot of stuff. It doesn't pick right up where Outcast leaves off. It seems like definitely a few years have passed since the end of Outcast and then before the beginning of Survivor. So Cal has been out in the universe like doing stuff. He's gotten some experience under his belt. He definitely seems more sure of himself. He's got a little beard going, so he seems a bit older, a little scruffier. I think it suits him. He's got better clothes. BD1, his little droid that rides on his shoulder, is still there, but he's got a whole new crew of people. Like, I was meeting these people. I'm like, damn, who are these people? Like, okay, let's get to know their names and let's see what's going on here. So he's got a whole new crew. They go do this thing, and very quickly, things go south, as is typical for an exciting Star Wars story. So action, action, action. And then you eventually get out of the beginning part and you get to, which I assume is going to be probably the hub for the rest of the game. It's a desert, I don't know, rocky Montana looking Colorado-ish sort of zone. It's called Kobo, and it's like the planet where one of the old characters from Outcast lives. Grease, the guy that has 4 arms, who was like the pilot of the ship. So Cal ends up there, and Grease has a bar, and it kind of becomes, which I'm pretty sure is going to become your de facto headquarters. There's lots of places for people to sit. Grease, when you meet him there, he's like, oh, if you come across anybody, send them here, kind of suggesting that it's going to become the hub where you find characters who you can recruit, or maybe characters you're going to be friends with, and they're all going to be there in the bar, so you can meet them and talk to them with regularity. Pretty cool. It's got a little bit of a Mass Effect vibe to it, and I say that in a good way because Mass Effect is one of my favorite games. It's got that same sense of like the bar on Kobo kind of feels like the Normandy in Mass Effect, where it's your home base. You're probably going to come back to it a lot. People that you like are there. Your teammates are probably going to be there. You're probably going to do most of your business there. There's like a workbench. There's the costume changing thing you can do there. There's all sorts of stuff. There's a bedroom for you. So I dig that. I like that a lot. That feeling of building a special place for yourself, building your own spot, having your friends meet you there and support you there is pretty cool. And that area that you're in, Kobo, the first major area after the beginning of the game, it's kind of openish. There's lots of rumors, which are kind of like side quests. You can go on, do some of those things. You can talk to people in town. You can talk to basically everybody you see. And not everybody has a quest. Not everybody has anything significant to say, but sometimes they tell you a funny story. Or sometimes they'll just say, hey, what's up? And it's kind of nice to be able to talk to everybody. And like once you get there, it feels a little bit overwhelming at first. But then once you figure out what the game is doing, like, oh, this is going to be your hub. This is going to be your main area for a while. Then you're like, okay, you start to settle in a little bit. You start to learn the lay of the land. And then you kind of go from there. So that's good. I dig that a lot. I think the action feels good so far. It seems like there's going to be multiple lightsaber stances for Cal. You start off with single blade lightsaber, which is fine. It's the old standby. You also have, I don't know what they call it. Dual? The one where he puts the two ends of two lightsabers together, and then there's like a lightsaber on each end, like a kind of like a lightsaber staff, I guess. That one has been pretty good so far. That one's been my go-to so far. You also get dual lightsaber where you have a single lightsaber in each hand. That one has not been so impressive so far. I've been sticking to like the lightsaber staff, kind of like what Darth Maul had from the prequels or whatever. Been using that most of the time. It seems pretty lethal, and it seems pretty good on defense too, so I'm probably going to stick with that one. But you get your skill tree, you can upgrade your stuff. You got a lot more options to customize Cal and BD1 and your lightsaber, which is great. Changed up BD1's look a lot. I think he's a cool robot. I like him a lot more than Nyx from Outlaws. I hated Nyx from Outlaws, but I like BD1 a lot. Changed up his look, made him look a little cooler, and that was nice. I like Cal's look a lot better. And I think the gameplay is pretty good so far. Like you're running, you got lots of abilities. Strangely, I think the tutorial was not great. I think the tutorial kind of assumed a little knowledge on your part. Like maybe they thought you like just finished Outcast and you came straight to this one, which is a silly kind of assumption. A couple of the basic moves I was kind of struggling to figure out. And I really disliked that they put the R3 button as the open and interact button. Because like I don't want to do R3, which is the clicking down the right stick with some force. It just irritates my thumb. I don't think it feels comfortable. I don't really like to do it unless it's absolutely necessary. So I switched my buttons around in the customization. And by the way, this game has amazing accessibility, tons of features. Kudos big time to EA for having all those options. I was extremely impressed with the accessibility. And one of those was the ability to change your controller. So I did change my controller, and I didn't realize that they were having you click the stick as a lock-on as well. And so I kind of messed myself up for a while. I couldn't figure out what happened to the lock-on, but basically it was doing a multi-function contextual sort of thing, and I didn't realize that when I changed it. But I figured that out, got back in the fight. I think it feels really good. You've got lots of difficulty settings, like 5 difficulty settings. And so that goes well. Anybody who plays this can find a level that suits them. Hard is really fucking hard. Easy is really fucking easy. And then you've got like 3 other levels in between to suit you. So I think that's great. Map is okay. In fact, I think this is all a pretty good game so far. I'm really kind of into it. I like the new vibe. I like Cal. I like Kobo. I like everything about it. My only complaint so far is that, I forgot to say, I meant to make this point earlier, excuse me. But because you have so many more options to customize, finding chests feels much more meaningful now. In the previous game, Outcast, when you found a chest, it was like you changed the color of Cal's poncho, and that was it. That was like, it felt like completely worthless. Like it was not ever worth finding those chests. But now you can find a hairstyle, a beard style, lightsaber parts for BD1. And so it's still not like majorly significant, but it does feel better because I have been tweaking the settings and getting some use out of that stuff. So props to that. It's better. Not the best, but better. But getting back to my complaint, the only thing that I don't like about Star Wars Jedi Survivor so far is the pathfinding and signposting. I don't know what's going on, but I feel like this game must have been created when people in the gamosphere were pushing back against yellow paint. I know some people really dislike it and they feel like it's really clunky and awkward, and I don't disagree, but I think that it is necessary. It serves a purpose. So what I mean by this is when you're going through a level, if you're not in a completely linear level, you need some kind of way to tell where you're going. And so there are multiple like open and semi-open areas in Jedi Survivor. This game does not really use yellow paint. To be fair, there has been a couple instances of it, but like almost none. And so without that yellow paint, I am often stuck in places where I'm like, I don't know where I'm going. I don't know what I'm supposed to do. Am I climbing something? Am I dropping down somewhere? Is there a crack through a wall that I'm supposed to get through? And also, fuck this game for all the number of times you go through a crack. I'm sure it's probably to hide loading screen or loading times, but like, fuck that. Like, it's finding those cracks. If you're not looking directly at them, it's hard to see them. And it's just weird that there are so many cracks in this game, like doorways, hallways, like open spaces. Get with it, people. And so I very often will get to a place and just like have no idea how to move forward. Like I get to a dead end and I go, is it really a dead end? Am I not seeing what I'm supposed to? What am I doing? Am I climbing? And then I just sit there and spin the camera around like a moron. I'm like, is there something above me? Is there a handhold somewhere? Like multiple times I have been like, I have no idea where to go. And so I'll just like try to wall jump off of a wall and that doesn't work. I have jumped into pits many times because I'm like, maybe there's something down there. I should just jump down maybe and just killed myself. In fact, most of my deaths in this game so far have been deaths when I jump off a cliff hoping there's something below me because I don't know where else to go. And that is stupid. That is the worst kind of death. I really do think that the developers did not do a great job with level design here for the most part so far, because you can get around the yellow paint thing. I mean, look at FromSoft, right? Like they have some really complicated, complex levels, sometimes multi-layered levels, sometimes interconnected, like whatever. And they're masters of guiding your eye to where it needs to go. You know, they use landmarks, they use topography, they use elevation, they use lighting. I mean, there's all sorts of tricks that a really skilled level developer can use to guide a player forward to get them where they need to go. I think From is probably like one of the masters at this. Respawn is not great at this. They are kind of failing this, and it sucks because, you know, I don't think you need to get away from it altogether. If you're not skilled enough to use lighting and natural environmental cues, and I get that not everybody is, right? It's a skill, it's an art, like it takes time, it takes a lot of practice. But I cannot believe that Respawn got through testing with this game and didn't realize they had a problem with navigation. I refuse to believe they didn't know this. So they didn't fix it for whatever reason, but I feel like there could have been a middle ground. I feel like for people like me who are not on the same brainwave as Respawn and are having a hard time reading these levels, which I am, I'm having a difficult time. It's like the only thing I don't like about the game so far. The rest of it's great. Like, have that option. They have like 85,000 accessibility features. Again, props. But like one of those features should be yellow paint. If you're the kind of player that just wants yellow paint, if you don't care about believability or quote unquote realism in a Star Wars game, and you just want to know where the fuck to go, put in some kind of marker that's really direct. Now, there is a quote unquote marker option in the accessibility options, but all it does is basically tell you like north, south, east, west when you're looking at your map. It's just a very general sense of where to go. It's not enough. And sometimes when you're in a room that's really confusing, you need more than that. So I get that some people are like, oh, I hate yellow paint. It's so stupid and awkward and gross and amateurish. We've got to get rid of yellow paint. I mean, on a fundamental level, I kind of agree because in a perfect world, every level designer would be so skilled they would be able to lead the player from point A to point B without relying on something like yellow paint. Like, it would just do an amazing job with levels, an amazing job with lighting, amazing job with like signage in the world. But I mean, real talk, not every level designer is that great, as we're seeing here in Jedi Survivor. So I wish there was a setting. If you don't care about yellow paint, turn it on, yellow paint wherever you need to go. Big fucking arrows, outline the ledges. I fucking don't care. I just want to play the game and have fun. And if you're one of those people that does not like the yellow and you want to figure it out for yourself, you should be able to go to options and go off. Turn off the yellow paint, and then you can just figure it out for yourself if that's what you like. And I feel like it doesn't have to be one or the other. I feel like we can have both. We could serve both populations. So apart from the frustration of getting lost more often than I would like to admit, more often than I would like to experience, having a good time with Jedi Survivor so far. I feel like pretty much I probably will finish this. I don't know how long of an experience it is, but it seems pretty substantial so far. But having a lot of fun, killing droids and flinging my lightsaber and going back to the bar and meeting my folks, and that's a good time. And I'm just digging the whole thing all the way around. So I think it's great so far, but just heads up that the navigation is kind of craptastic. So there you go. All right, that's all the gaming stuff I'm going to cover this week. Like I said, it's going to be short and sweet, unscripted, kind of just rolling through this as we are. Just a couple things to mention as far as TV and movies go. Saw Wicked this week, as I'm sure probably like the rest of the free world did. We did not see it in the theater. We waited for it to download. We have a long history with Wicked. My wife has read the books. We saw it on the theater, on stage. We had the soundtrack. I mean, I can sing most of the songs. I have been able to sing most of the songs for quite a while. My wife is a big musical theater fan, and because we are a good couple, I am also a musical theater fan. And so she was super, super excited for this. And I was excited too, but she was more excited. So we downloaded it, and I think the movie's great. I can't remember if I mentioned it already. I don't think I have mentioned it yet, but it's really good. It's really good. I think Cynthia Erivo does a great job as Elphaba, and I was not sold on Ariana Grande as Glinda, but she really made it work. And honestly, all of the performances were great. And being so familiar with the material beforehand, I was a little concerned that it was not going to be a great version of it because, if you look at the averages, I think most often when something gets adapted to film like this after it's had such a long history in other mediums, it's really hard to meet that standard. It's hard to live up to expectations, but they did. I thought it was great. Music was great. Direction was great. Effects were great. It was just great all the way around, and it seems to be a huge hit from what I can tell. Everywhere on social media, I am being barraged by Wicked stuff on Instagram, on Blue Sky, everywhere. It seems to be just all around us. It seems to have picked up a lot of fans, and deservedly so. I was, however, somewhat surprised to figure out that this first movie was only half the story. I'm glad that we found out before we watched it, because I would have been pretty shocked and disappointed to be expecting the whole thing only to get through half. But yeah, it's a part A. Part B, part B has got to be coming. I feel like it's an internet sensation. I believe, sales of tickets were doing okay. It's like on everybody's lips. Everybody's talking about it. Everybody's wearing green paint and singing songs in the street. So I have to believe that part 2 is coming soon. But it's good. It's really good. I mean, if you're like anti-musicals, it's probably not for you. But if you're open to musicals, or you're curious about what all the hubbub is about, or you just want to see something that's a little different spin on The Wizard of Oz, I think it's quite a good rendition. And if you haven't partaken of anything Wicked so far, I think it's a good place to start for sure. Beyond that, the wife and I watched a movie called Wynonna Earp Vengeance. It is a made-for-Tubi movie starring the cast of the Wynonna Earp TV series. This was a Canadian fantasy action western sort of comedy show that ran for a number of years, has a huge following, and my wife and I were huge fans of this. It's about main character Wynonna Earp, who is a descendant of Wyatt Earp, the famous gunfighter from the Old West. She lives in this town that is full of ghosts and demons, and so she kind of like does demon control in this town. They went on for a number of seasons. Great supporting cast. It's kind of like a Buffy-like show. Funny and goofy. The characters really made it. The actors really made it, because I got to be honest, I think the writing really trailed off after a while. The writing was not great, but it was such fun to see the actors playing off each other and inhabiting those roles. We just really enjoyed the series all the way around. So it ended a couple years ago, and we were sad, but all good things do come to an end. And then my wife was scrolling through Tubi, and she was like, "Oh shit, there's a movie," and it literally just came out recently. We had no idea it was coming, so we dropped everything that we were doing. We're like, we're watching this right now, and so we did, and we watched it, and oh my God, was it bad? It was really, really bad. It was so bad that it kind of made us want to like go back in time and like erase it from our brain cells, like get a time machine and go back and tell myself not to watch it, because it really kind of like retroactively ruined part of what happened in the series beforehand. I don't know what happened. I don't know why they bothered to do this, but they, all the cast came back, which was great at first, but the writing was just really poor. It was very shaky. It felt like they needed 6 episodes, but they got 90 minutes instead, and so they were just cramming everything in there. They introduced some new characters that we had never seen before. And if you've only got like a one-shot kind of thing and you're doing this for the fans, don't bring anybody new into it. Just go back to the old people. That's what the fans really want to see anyway. We all want to just reunite with our previous stars and our previous favorite characters, right? So they brought in some new people, which wasn't great. They brought in some storylines, which didn't make sense. It just really was shaky and awful and embarrassing. And then they did what I believe is the cardinal sin, and my wife shares this feeling also. I'm not going to spoil anything in case I have any Wynonna fans listening to the show, but they did the thing that you're never supposed to do when you do one of these, and my wife and I were just like livid. We were fucking just like enraged that they did that. It just pissed us both off, and we were beside ourselves with upsetness and anger and frustration and disappointment and just everything. It was bad. I have nothing but love for the actors. I love the actors. I love the cast. I still love the main show, but this movie, this tacked on made for Tubi movie, was a travesty. It was really awful, terrible to watch, boring, and it actually did stuff to the story that made the story worse overall. So huge thumbs down to Wynonna Earp Vengeance. And if you're a fan, fucking don't even bother watching. It's going to make you mad. Last thing I'll talk about is I've been watching a lot of 80s cartoons lately. If you listen to the show, you probably know that. I've been kind of going through stuff from my childhood that I had never been able to see the full series of before. Because back in the day, you know, you didn't have streaming. Sometimes you didn't even have any way to record it at all. Sometimes you just had to run home from school and hope to catch something on TV. And if you missed it, too bad. So I'm kind of catching up on all the series. And one of them was G.I. Joe, you know, a real American hero from the 80s. Went back and watched all of the episodes. In fact, I just watched the last episode today, and all that's left is the G.I. Joe movie, which I'm going to watch this afternoon. And I got to say, you know, it suffers from a lot of the same problems that 80s cartoons do, right? At that time, these cartoons were created to sell toys. That was their primary directive. They were not there to tell great stories. They were not there to build a fan base. And it wasn't for several years when people finally realized if you get people attached to the characters and the stories, they will buy way more toys than if they don't care about the series, right? Like, it took a shockingly long time for people to realize that. But if you've got fans who love characters that are attached to stories and they're in the lore, they'll buy your shit forever, dude. I mean, I'm buying He-Man stuff 40 years after the fact, right? So that's proof positive. And I think G.I. Joe is kind of one of those 80s shows where it's like they had all of the pieces there. Some of the characters are really fun. They've got some quirky stuff going on. They've got some comedy. They've got some nice bits and bobs. But really, because the show was just about selling toys, they didn't have any continuity between the episodes. They would often bring in outside writers. And so a new writer wouldn't have known what happened before. And so they'd write these weird episodes where it didn't follow the continuity of what happened before. And sometimes the characters wouldn't come off the right way. Or sometimes you'd get very different tones. Like a couple of these episodes, we're like, oh, I guess the writer was going through a really bad divorce right now because he's saying a lot of bad stuff about women. And you could kind of just tell from watching these, like, the writers were kind of going through some stuff. But that's not to say it was bad. I mean, I'm glad I watched it. And as I was watching through it, like, we definitely had our moments, right? Like, there was some really funny stuff. And some of the best episodes of G.I. Joe where they were not taking themselves seriously. Like, there's a lot of crazy stuff that happens in G.I. Joe. There's, like, Cthulhu monsters. There's fucking aliens. There's, like, Atlantis shit. There's, like, DNA clones. There's all sorts of like brainwashing. Like whenever they do anything whack, it's like usually a good episode because they kind of do funny, like weird stuff. And the episodes that are just basically about like, we're going to go fight Cobra and stop them. Those are the most boring episodes because all they're doing is kind of combat and kind of just showcasing whatever the new figures are on the shelf. But there were moments, man. And like, I would pay a lot of money to go back and edit this show myself and rewrite this show. I would love to take a crack at it because there's so much rich material here. Digging into people's backstories, like maybe taking some of these characters and giving them each like a little spotlight episode, doing more continuity. Like for example, like when you look at Cobra Commander, Destro, you eventually get Baroness, of course. Baroness, who can forget the Baroness? Fuck. You eventually get Dr. Mindbender and Serpentor, who's like the biggest fucking tool bag in the world. Like just their interactions is almost a show in itself. Like the way that they backstab each other, the way they shit talk each other, the way they undermine each other, it's incredibly entertaining. And I feel like they should have like really leaned into that. I mean, this show could have almost been called Cobra and not G.I. Joe because of how much personality these characters had. And I feel like when I'm watching these, it's just like missed opportunity. But again, that's like what's so true of the 80s, right? You look at Transformers. Transformers has like the worst fucking continuity imaginable. They have like negative continuity. And they have so many characters that are iconic that they could have done something with and didn't. Same thing for like Gem. I love Gem. It's like one of my favorite cartoons from the 80s. But like, even though they had a stronger story focus than other cartoons, it's still like so much like discontinuity, so much opportunity to like build something really lasting. And it's funny because these cartoons had to walk in order for later cartoons to run, right? When we start getting really good sequential stuff that tells great stories, I'm thinking about like Owl House or Steven Universe or you know, a lot of people say Avatar. I haven't watched a lot of Avatar, but Avatar is one that gets called out a lot. Just any of the modern cartoons where characters matter. The story is what matters. Like the continuity is what matters. Like we didn't figure that out at that time in the 80s. And it had to be because these cartoons stumbled and we didn't realize how much cartoons meant to people. We didn't realize how much characters meant to people that we finally figured out as a culture. Okay, wait, we do need to put more effort into this. People will become attached to these characters. They will want to spend more time with these characters. And underlying that, of course, the capitalist extreme of they'll buy anything with these characters on it. Yeah, granted, for sure. But we have to have the feels first. And people do a good job of it now. But back then, yeah, kind of shaky. But it's interesting to go back to see the roots of all this, to see, okay, I can kind of see where they were trying to go for a character arc and they didn't quite get there, but like they would totally do it differently these days. Or, oh, they didn't have a showrunner back then. They really could have used one because that would have straightened out A, B, and C. But we do that these days, and so shows are better. So it's kind of neat to go back in time and see like the origins of all this stuff, and you can see how far it's come in the 40 years since then. And yeah, it's been about 40 years for G.I. Joe, believe it or not. So interesting stuff. I'm really glad I watched it. It kind of rekindled my love for the series. We're going to watch the movie this afternoon. And in case you don't know, G.I. Joe is still around. It is still an action figure. G.I. Joe Classified is what Hasbro's putting out now. And just like real talk, I think these are the best G.I. Joe figures that have ever been produced. I think they are the best that's ever been. They are a larger scale. They're a 1/6 scale. So they're a bit bigger than you remember. I think they've got tons of accessories, great sculpts, great articulation. I've got a bunch of them on my desk and in my shelf. G.I. Joe Classified these days is amazing. So if you like G.I. Joe, if me talking about this cartoon has made you want to go watch the cartoon, if you're interested in the property still and you don't know about Classified, go check out G.I. Joe Classified. They're still it's still being released. It's still on shelves. You can get it anywhere. And these figures are fucking amazing. Like, they're so good. So anyway, that's it, folks. I'm not going to do the usual roundup because this is a very informal episode. I think I'm just going to wrap it here. And would like to thank you all for joining me here on the episode that should not have been, but ended up being and actually was. We did actually do episode 422. Informal, quiet, intimate. Just you and me. Just talking about stuff. Because we're friends. Because I like you. All right, folks, I'm out. I'll catch you later next week, and we'll get back to our regular schedule. Bye.